let's just jump straight into it, shall we?
Big butts.
What? What did
You'll see later, Paul.
Check your DMs. Josh slid right into your big butts.
That is, you know what? I bet Josh slid into my
Please,
DMs.
no, never talk about that ever again. Oh my gosh.
You're exactly the type of person to slide into my DMs. You can tell your wife that. Wow, you really did. You just said butts over and over again. Got it. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Jerry Podcast, the mountain bike podcast with one guy who broke himself, one guy who chafed his taint at a cross-country race, and one guy who can't stop falling on blue trails in Whistler.
Oh, come on, dude. It's every blue trail, not just Whistler.
You do it yourself every time.
Leave me alone, dude. Gosh.
Anyway, we are three mountain bike YouTubers. That's how we know each other. And as such, decided we should start yet another mountain bike podcast. But hopefully this one's going to be a bit different. So let us know what you think.
It won't be different. It'll just be the same as every other one, but people will love it anyway.
Well, maybe. I mean, there's three people. Normally there's two. We've got that from the get-go.
Oh, yeah.
So on the show... Plus one. On the show, we have Shane from The Crashing Dad.
Heyo.
Just remember that voice. Remember that tone. That is Shane. And Josh from the Daily MTB Rider channel.
Hello, everybody. I'm still better than Paul.
Remember that arrogant, narcissistic tone. And I am Paul. My channel is Paul the Punter. But we're not going to be focused on YouTube. We're just going to talk about pretty much anything to do with mountain biking. And we're going to start off by talking about last week. Me and Josh were lucky enough to get to the opening of Whistler, and Shane's never been, so he's going to have loads to talk about. Oh my
goodness!
Guess.
All I see in my subscription feed on YouTube is Whistler this and Whistler that. And I haven't even watched any of the videos.
What do you mean you haven't watched my videos? I'm
just being overloaded by all the Whistler videos. I don't want to watch any of them.
You couldn't even watch. What are you, Shane? What the hell? We were going to talk about it.
Shane's the guy who, like, the new Avengers movie comes out, and everyone's like, it's the best movie I ever saw. And Shane's like, oh, superhero movies are stupid. It's like, come on, Shane.
I haven't seen the new Avengers movie either.
See,
I knew it.
We all have that one friend.
The thing is, I gotta wait. Point. I gotta wait for it to hit Redbox. And then with the Whistler videos, like, they're all going to be the same. Come on.
No, they're not.
To be fair, most Marvel movies are the same. So that's actually almost the perfect analogy.
And then all the A-Line videos are going to be the same.
No. Oh my god!
Except maybe the Lone Rangers is going to be color graded doper than everyone else's. Yeah, I just said dope.
Paul's going to show how slow you can go on A-Line, which is great.
Well, thanks for watching my video on A-Line, Josh, that I have already uploaded and it's already been out. And clearly you haven't watched it. Thanks for the support, friend.
Did watch it, and you cased mini jumps, but you cased them far, far better than I thought you would. So I was impressed.
I was, honestly. So here's what happened. Listeners, about a week ago, I had a crash. I went straight over the bars. I landed on my face and also basically crumpled most of my upper torso. Somehow, I got away with it with just a sprained AC, which is ridiculous. But my ribs are pretty bad. Now, I did, just before opening day, boys, I went out and I got a massage. And I was like, I've done it. I've completely overcome everything. So I took it easy first 2 days. And then on day 3, it was Sunday. I was like, okay, just start doing A-Line now. Like 2014, Paul knew how to do A-Line. We'll talk about that later.
Oh my gosh.
Shut up. It's pertinent to the story.
No, it's not.
I was writing down A-Line and I did one run. I was like, that was the first run in the video. And I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. Second run, like, everything, like I winded myself riding down. Like it was not from like casing or anything. It was just from, because you do go way faster like than normal, and it is a bit rougher a little bit.
And 4 minutes into the show, Paul is already making excuses. Nothing
where's the proof? You know, I know we already talked about your crazy crash from last week, and that video's not out yet, is it?
No,
it's not out yet.
This is the problem. This is why I keep telling Eric to do from BCPOV, another channel, to upload twice a week so he can actually stay like current. I was joking. I was like, cool, can't wait to see your opening weekend video in September. That's like great schedule.
And he's like, I'm still in Mexico with my videos.
Yeah. And I was like,
okay.
You know.
But your crash though, when I see it, it makes me think of that. I don't know if you've seen the like newscaster, the viral video. She's stomping on grapes, and she falls off the stage, and
it will be replayed more than the Stomping on Grapes newscaster. It'll be,
I guess.
yeah.
But I really want to have it on my channel so that I can get those copyright strikes going as fast as possible. Like if I'm going to make money off it, this is how I'm going to do it.
All right. So Paul, you talked about, you went to opening weekend a little injured, and you talked about taking it easy. But the one thing that stood out to me from opening weekend at Whistler was I've only been there 1 year before, so I have zero experience. But I feel like this opening day, Paul, you can speak to this more than I can. It was so mucky and muddy. It basically rained most of the night and for the first 5 hours. And I was stinking cold, underprepared also. And the trail.
Yeah. Josh, hold on. We cannot. I feel like, we have a new segment to the show called Joe of the Week, but I feel like that is the reason why you usually get it. Shane, who you look at the forecast, right? You go, better check what the weather is going to be like in the place that I'm mountain biking. Josh clearly just didn't do that at all.
Obviously,
the thought never crossed his mind.
No, I did. It just said that in the afternoon it was going to be sunny. And so I brought a short sleeve Hawaiian shirt thinking it was going to be sunny. And it turns out
amazing.
I'm on vacation.
I pick up Nick, another YouTuber from VanCat. I pick him up and I'm like, Nick, I don't know if I brought a jacket. And then I went and asked Ryan, the Lone Ranger, for one. And Ryan's skinny and tall. And so it's like a sausage getting stuffed putting this jacket on. And I'm like, I'm host. Luckily, I somehow, in my wisdom, packed a long sleeve flannel, and that saved my day.
Wisdom is pushing it for a word.
In my stupidity, I thought maybe I'll wear this in case my Hawaiian short sleeve shirt breaks. But it was miserable the first couple hours. There was no lift line. It was raining. The trails were crap, but still fun. But it was bad.
Yeah, it was bad. You couldn't do any videoing, and then the trails just had this and do you know what? You could look around and you could see that probably about 6 hours before, every lip and every berm looked like it did in a picture on the internet. You know what I mean? Just perfection, perfectly square, every berm smoothed over, looking beautiful. And then it just rained.
And so were you just riding through mud piles?
Oh yeah, but it's like the slime. It's it's solid underneath, and then there's maybe 2-3 inches of just
like peanut butter.
Clay. Exactly that. Yeah.
Does it stick to your bike?
No.
Oh yeah.
Well, no, not really, because it's mainly sand there, right? Okay. Which is almost worse because then the sand just gets everywhere.
I saw that picture.
Oh yeah, that picture of me where I'm just covered. I had to go and wash my hands just because I couldn't rub off the sand. It was so fine on there.
I think I saw that and I was just like, all of these first day videos are going to be crap anyway. I'm just not going to watch any of them.
Well,
that's my excuse.
The opening day was we all tried to film. I crashed the first run. We'll talk about that later. And my GoPro got knocked off my mount, but everyone tried to film, but it just didn't really work. Paul probably has the best video to show what all of our footage looked like.
Thank you very much. Yes. Yeah,
what it looked like.
Yeah. Oh, because it was so bad. And
I was pretty lucky.
Yeah, you got some good footage, but like Paul was saying, you'd go up a lip and it was the oddest thing. We all know when we corner too hard and conditions aren't good and our tire slips, you could be going perfectly straight off a lip and you just barely push into it and your whole tire would instantly slip and you'd be like, what just happened? All confidence was gone.
Oh yeah. Back when I broke my arm when I was 15. Excuse me. When I was 15. And that is the reason it happened. I was doing this jump and I went up and my wheels slipped and then I broke my arm. So now I have the ultimate fear ingrained into me from that. But it wasn't so bad. If you stick to the tech trails, it was fine.
Well,
just don't ride the jump ones.
The problem was the everything was closed. Actual opening day Friday, most everything was closed. But then at 3:00, the sun came out. I've never seen trails dry so fast, and they started opening up, and it turned out to be pretty good. And Paul,
I was already gone home, Shane. I was like, I've got to get that video up first.
Well, You were injured though. Like how did that affect you?
It was I was just being a bit cautious, and then I kind of got into it a little bit. But I mean, actually, day 2, I felt like I was riding fine. Like on my day 2 video, I was like actually riding almost normal towards the end of it. If you want to see what 2014 Paul could have been,
oh, get out of here!
It's about 8 minutes in.
No proof.
But I was
so day 1 is pretty mediocre.
Oh yeah, day 1 I was just like rolling. I was just rolling around basically.
Good thing you've already got the majority of views from that after we're just shit talked it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were all riding pretty mediocrely. And just so you guys know, the viewers and the listeners, I was only there for opening day Friday, but Saturday, Paul, I was going to ask you because I was hoping to conquer some trails I had never done before, do some new obstacles. I didn't because the conditions weren't great. But Paul, Saturday, it looked like you conquered some new trails you hadn't done.
Well, and the only reason that I hadn't done, there's this trail called Lower Joyride, and it's like one of those forgotten trails. Like that's all it is.
You really think so?
Like, no, I rode down it, and it was like the trail crew had gone and done work on every single trail in the bike park, but gone, guys, Lower Joyride? Nah, don't worry about it. Just forget about it. Because that's what it was like. It was just like, it looked like the snow had just come off it, and me and Eric were the first people to ride it. It was just like, but I just hadn't done it. However, Shane, there is, as you may have seen in the thumbnail, there's this incredible wood structure. And I was just like, I know clickbait when I see clickbait.
Put some wood in there, and Shane still won't click on it.
But yeah, that's the only reason. But I was actually kind of quite nervous because I hate just being high up on wood. I hate wood. Like I don't know why. I just
feel like you're gonna slip off of it. Like is it slippery?
I feel like it's gonna collapse. I feel like my world's gonna just fall. Cave in around me. Like that's how it feels.
Which is funny because like you talked about that, and in your picture, in your thumbnail, you show the first wood like roller thing, which is actually the easier one. But then in the second one, Paul, it was like a drop, and you just went for it. I was like, I was thoroughly impressed by you, Paul.
Well, do you know what, guys? After our conversation that we had off podcast last week,
yes,
I was just thinking like, just go and commit. Just go and do it. And I actually saw,
no lie, did you really think about us and how we made fun of you not committing?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm so proud. I'm so happy I roasted you so hard.
We just I just kind of rolled into it. And honestly, do you know what the most frustrating thing is? Like this new bike, just want to be a full sponsor's dream here, but that Ransom is like, it's so easy to ride.
Because it's 29-inch wheels. Welcome to the future.
I've had 29-inch wheels for years, Josh.
Crazy travel.
On a 27.5 bike, that's just fine. That's why it felt so great. Just saying.
Yeah, maybe. But it's just like I felt solid on it. And I that was that second day, that was the 4th time I'd ridden that bike. And I was just like, yep, this is great. And I felt like if my ribs weren't so screwed, this is why I'm so frustrated. I could talk about this for a solid hour. So no one
would listen
as soon as possible. But like, I feel like that Fade to Black that when we went and looked at it. Were you there? You were there. No, that was the lap that you weren't there.
Sorry, you rode Fade to Black?
No, but I feel like
just
like,
make it
honest, like the mentality, like because Ryan went and did it as well on Sunday or yesterday even. I can't remember what day.
It was Sunday.
Okay. And I was like, I probably would have gone and joined in. You know what I mean?
I can see the ad now. Scott Ransom makes you want to think about doing Fade to Black and makes casing jumps never felt better.
This is why Paul's not a spokesperson for
case jumps all day.
And then it just has me afterwards. And that comes with a puncher's seal of approval. Like something like that.
But you felt that confident.
Oh, yeah. Like
is Fade to Black gnarly?
No, it's got a substantial drop.
Yeah, it does. It does have a pretty legit, like, droppy, road gappy thing at the beginning. But I've done everything else on it. There's like a kind of a longer-ish, tiny-ish drop afterwards. Then there's like this step on and step off feature. But those just kind of ride themselves almost. Like it's really just, you just hold on and go, whoop,
The truth is, like, the fade to black drop is intimidating in video or in like a third person shot of it sideways, but it's I wouldn't say it's chill, but once you follow somebody, like, you see, it's like, oh, that's manageable. Like, Paul, you would have no problem on it. It would just be committing to it.
Exactly. It's one of those classic mountain biker things where the moment you've done it, it's the easiest thing in the world, and you can't wait to tell everyone, oh, it's so easy. Like,
Yeah.
But everything at Whistler is that way, isn't it?
Wait, well,
everything in
yes.
mountain biking is that way. Everything in mountain biking is that way.
No, I'm just saying Whistler's built so well that
Well, except for crabapple hits, everybody who rides crabapple hits, that big jump, everyone's like, yeah, it's still huge. Like, it's still scary even when you are comfortable with it.
Yeah. But then, you might not have seen it, Josh, but they were stacking a bit of Dirt Merchant at the end, which is like the double black. Like,
Oh yeah, I did see it.
But you didn't see it because they were really stacking it like on Sunday.
Oh.
Like, I was going down A-Line and I looked over and went, "Oh my, what is that?"
Yeah.
I've heard that trail's going to be a monster.
Well,
they're changing it. Is that what you mean when you say they're stacking it?
they beefed it up last year, and then there was one. It was like a kind of a dinky step up, but from what I saw on Friday, they were like putting a ton of dirt over there, and it sounds like even more now. So
Even more. That thing is going to be really
filling in all the gaps for you.
well, no.
Yeah, someone just walks around.
Takeoff.
Someone just walks around with a huge sea of plywood, just like one jump at a time. Put it in the gap. Don't worry, it's okay. The amount of hate, that would be amazing if someone was just walking down Dirt Merchant with a bit of plywood, like putting it on top of each jump. Man,
Paul, I would nominate you. I'm just saying. Hey, wait, Paul. On the topic of Fade to Black, did 2014 Paul do Fade to Black?
He did everything but the big drop. Like, he did it without thinking about it.
See, I knew 2014 Paul wasn't that cool. So
no, like there was. I had a couple of close to me people like do the drop and then wreck themselves. So do you
really?
Do you have that, like, if you see someone crashing on something, or you have a friend that crashed on something, then it's like it's a little bit more intimidating than usual.
I mean,
like,
I would say yes, but I don't have friends, so I don't have that problem. No, I've never had that issue.
Shane must have that.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's this one drop that I know I could hit, but my friend busted his collarbone into 6 pieces on it, and I always brake check before I hit it.
Yeah.
I only fall on blue trails, so I never have that problem. Speaking of, Paul,
whoa.
wait. Speaking of, last thing on opening weekend, Paul, did you have any crashes or fails worth sharing with everyone?
Did I have no? Just coming down, just casing my way through A-Line. That was
because he didn't ride hard enough to have any crashes or fails.
He didn't want it. He didn't commit to it.
I actually pre-crashed. Like, I just
wait,
I was
what?
going to save everyone the time by crashing before I got to Whistler. And then being like, oh no, guys, I've already crashed. It's like, do you know what? It's like going to the party, but I'm already drunk before I've left my house. That is exactly what happened, but with pain.
Okay, yeah. I can't talk about my crash because I'm going to talk about it
because you can't talk about one crash. You'd have to talk about many crashes, I think.
Oh yeah.
Like, there's not just one crash.
Because unlike Paul, some people actually push themselves. So anyway, I'll talk about my crash.
Why don't we just? No, this is such the perfect segue into Jerry of the Week. Shane, do we have the jingle for Jerry of the Week?
No, I'm gonna make it up. I'm gonna make it up right now.
He's got a guitar.
Joey of the Week.
That's so good. Shane,
that was the best thing ever.
We pretty much want that for the entire show. So let's come up with a bunch of segments, a bunch of things that we can get sponsored, because as we all decided, we want to sell out as soon as possible with this podcast.
We need to pay for all the work I did on that. I spent like a whole week writing that thing.
That seems legit.
All right. So I am self-nominating, but Paul, you would nominate me too, except Paul wasn't there.
Jerry of the Week. I mean, you can either, pick, it's pretty much, so Jerry is kind of like the mountain bike idiot, I would say. Like, that's easy, if you can sum that up. So that's what a Jerry is, guys. If you're here like, hey, where's Joey? When's he going to show up? He's not, because there's 3 of them right here. So it's really like, take your pick. Like, turning up to a guaranteed rainstorm without a rain jacket and then not only no rain jacket, but an Hawaiian pineapple shirt. I was like, oh, he bought a knife to a gun knife. He bought a knife to a gunfight, but it was a Stanley knife. That's what that is. So
did you ruin that Hawaiian shirt?
No, because I didn't use it because it was so crappy out. So anyway, yes, it
you
could
should have
be
put
that.
the Hawaiian shirt on top of the other shirt, just to
cover the sausage,
to hold on. Yeah. Oh, that would have completely hidden it. Then you just call it a base layer, and then it's like, oh, it's meant to be form-fitting.
I should have done that because my Hawaiian shirt, I got it like the Goodwill, so it's like way too big for me, so it would have worked. Anyway, so my Joey story.
But actually, why is that? I mean, first lap. Shane, there are signs, right? You get on the chairlift.
Let me tell the story.
Hey, fine.
All right. So I feel like Joey of the Week should always be a story time. So when you go up to any bike park, but especially Whistler, there's very clear signs under the lift that say there's 3 steps in riding the bike park. First is pre-ride, re-ride, and then free ride, which is like the cheesiest thing in the world. And then there's also, so it's basically saying pre-ride the trails so that you know what they're doing, re-ride them so you get comfortable, and then start jumping. And there's always a sign that says crashes can happen on the first lap. And whether people say it or not, every time they go up, they see that and like, these signs are so dumb. Like,
did they do them in opposite order?
Yeah, like,
they were a huge joke when they started. Everyone was like, look,
I shouldn't send a jump line I've never been on. Thanks for telling me. Like, that's kind of like the joke, right? So, obviously, the first run, most people do crank it up unless you're a bro and you're super good and you go do A-Line. So I know we're doing crank it up, and so literally I see the signs and I'm like, it's crank it up. Like it's a blue jump trail. Everything's a table. Everything's chill. And so we're going down the jump line. All the corners are super crappy. People are filming all around me. I'm like, I have to look good. I have to go I have to go fast through the corners. I never look good, but I think I have to. And so there's one corner that is just, it's a little more hairpinny than the rest. And so I'm trying to stay high to avoid all the sludge. Well, I went super high.
There's so many excuses building up to this. Sorry, go on.
No, there's no excuses. It's just painting a beautiful picture of how Joey I was. I went up high to avoid it, but the hairpin turn kept going. And so my wheel, the momentum pushed me up. My wheel went over the top of the berm right before a tree. My front wheel hit a tree. I tomahawked over the bars. So my body tomahawked and my bike tomahawked, ripped off my custom 3D printed GoPro mount. And of course, I got a concussion like a week and a half ago. And then I like lightly tapped my head and I was like, this is the end. Like, I'm dead now. And Eric is behind me, which every time I fall on a stinking blue trail, BCPOV Eric is there. And he's just like, Josh, why do you do this? Like, it's not like funny to him. It's like, you're such a disappointment.
What are you talking about? You know, he's just on the hunt for that bit at the beginning of the video that gets people interested.
Oh, and he
that's why he's like, oh, Josh is dropping in. Oh, quick, get in behind him. It's gonna happen.
And so this did get on film.
Well, yeah, but not very good. But
yeah, the bad news is the conditions were so bad. The camera got all chewed up.
Bollocks.
Yeah. And unlike Paul, when I fall, I don't act like it's like a big deal. I just jump up and I'm like, I'm fine. And I was fine, but I broke my mount and I lost all confidence in berms the whole day. Not that I'm good at cornering anyway, but that was my joy.
Heads up, Shane. Whistler is basically berms. So Josh is already on the back foot here.
Yeah.
Did you bring a chesty because you broke your mount? Did you bring a chesty as a backup?
Oh, I had my gimbal. I literally just put my camera on there because it was waterproof and I would be able to get something. So yes, I had a backup, but it was just like total Joey moment and everyone was half worried and half like, of course, Josh is going to fall. And then what does Paul say when he meets up with us second lap? Paul, what did you say?
I can't remember. It's probably like, has Josh fallen yet? Or
yeah,
something.
He's like, oh, these guys are taking a while. I bet you Josh has already fallen.
Oh, yeah.
Which is exactly what happened.
Yeah, I was waiting at the bottom because I arrived a little bit later after these guys. And I was like, I'm sure someone's going to come down. And then turns out they were all riding together. I was like, yeah, bet Josh crashed. And it's like, yep, sure did.
And guys listening, every time I fall a lot. every time I fall, it's freaking a green or a blue run, and there's always somebody filming. Like I never fall. Like knock
So
on wood.
convenient.
I never fall on like huge jump lines. I never fall on a crazy drop. It's always the dumbest stuff, and then I break myself. I got a concussion the other week on a blue jump line that I've done 20 times.
Well, all I'm going to say is, Josh, is stop riding blue trails. Just say they're dangerous and just stick to the double blacks where you know you're safe.
And what's funny is I literally said that the other day. Because it's my life. It's like I can't do the easy crap, and I'm not even good at the great stuff, but I'll go for it anyway. So anyway, that's my joy of the week.
Well, what I want to hear about is the exact opposite of all this bike part chat. And I want to hear about your rear end, Shane. You did a cross-country race. Like, how is the taint?
Well, okay, so I'm going to pull out the same excuse. That
whoa. Oh, excuse. Like, thank God.
Yes.
I thought something else could have been bad.
You don't want to see
if you start talking about 2014 Shane, I swear I will end this call and this whole thing so quick.
Well, no, okay. So exactly a week before my cross-country 30-mile race in Grand Junction, I went over the bars pretty bad, and I cracked a rib too, super hard to move. And I'm just thinking, I can still do this. I'll just take the whole week off, take it easy, not ride at all. And oh man, I went into this race with like zero fitness, and I was cool with that. I'm not like all about spandexing up.
Hold on.
What?
Zero fitness? Well, you're not zero fitness. You've done an Ironman race before.
That is mental fitness, which totally came into play. And
if Ironman was all mental fitness, then all the huge fat gamers who game would be like the winners of that. But obviously, that's not true.
Okay, well, that's a different story because there were some huge fat people that did the Ironman. Yeah,
I also want to support that claim because they do one in Whistler, and I have seen some rather large humans giving it a go. And you just think, why not just start with a 10K run or something? Like why get into an Ironman? Which is ridiculous.
But they're not beating guys who look like Shane. Am I right?
Oh, no, they're obviously not beating them. But still, like, the torture that you'd put yourself through, like, just try something, like, work your way up. That's what I'm saying. Like, don't drop it on an Ironman race. Anyway, Shane.
Well, I mean, I have decent fitness, but when it's really hard to breathe and you get, like, side cramps from just breathing, then trying to go do a 30-mile XC race with 4,700 feet of elevation gain and jank. And my trails are just a little bit janky. And it is really funny to show up to a race that's 30 miles. Everyone thinks it's going to be an XC race, but you've been out here, Paul. You know that there's no XC out here.
I know the jank.
Yeah, it's backcountry mountain bike riding. Like, you're not XC riding, you're mountain bike riding. And I was expecting it to be crowded, and it was crowded a little bit, but then I ended up riding by myself for quite a bit of it because I had, 3 flats, 2 crashes.
No.
Yeah, I crashed pretty bad.
Okay, what was the first issue? Like, was it a crash or a flat that first started you off on the negative path? Like, how'd you start?
Okay, so there's this road crossing. And people are there with their cowbells, and I'm crossing the road, and it drops into the trail into like some graveliness, and I hear this person like, "Go Shane!" So I'm thinking, okay, I pull up.
No way.
I pull up and I turn the bars and kind of like jump into the trail off of the road just to show off, and I just about like lose it and go into a bush, and then I drop into the trail right there, and I realize, oh shit, like I just flattened my rear tire. So
on a road.
Off the road, jumping into the trail.
Oh no!
Yeah, because I was showing off for someone that was like, "Hey, Shane, good job."
Did you even find out who it was?
No, not yet. I'll have to go review the video footage,
and then call them up and go, "You cost me the race."
No, I thought it was my wife. I was like, "Yeah, she's here to support me. Awesome. I'm gonna show." I felt so good that she was there. Then come to find out, at the end of the day,
it was another woman.
She was just like, I didn't come watch you.
You're like, who was that? This is where we find out that Shane actually has a stalker.
Exactly.
This is the full big reveal. He like looks back at the footage, and then he looks back through all the footage, and he's like, that same woman is in every single one of my videos.
That woman has a mustache
on the race. Save me. What if it has a mustache?
No, but literally, like, you start off with a flat and then another flat and then a crash and then a shifting mechanical. My dropper post cable frayed, and so I like lost my dropper post. And when you're on the side, like fixing stuff, you think that you'd get to rest, but the stress of trying to get back onto the trail just gets to you. So you get back on your bike and you're not really rested because you've been stressing the whole time. And I tried using one of those like CO2 and sealant things at the same time. I had a problem with my valve stem, so I had the sealant just go everywhere, all over on me.
Oh gosh.
And then I ended up like cramping and seizing up. And
what about the pickle juice? You're such a fan of the pickle juice.
I totally
that would save you.
Dude, I got to an aid station and they had like a big old jar of pickles, and I tilted it over, poured a big cup of pickle juice in there. And right before that, he was like, "Hey, you want some bourbon?" I was like, "Fuck yeah." Take a big old swig of bourbon, chase it with pickle juice. I'm drinking more pickle juice. Yeah, it was a hard race. I will still call it a win because I finished after all of that craziness. I'm making a video on it. I don't want to blow my load.
So
but,
very good. Yeah.
30 miles, how many feet of elevation or meters or whatever?
4,700 feet.
Wait, what's that in meters?
That's not that many.
No, that's not.
I my enduro race last time was 15 miles and 4,800 feet. So, but XC is different, right? That's a race uphill is not fun.
Backcountry, our descents here.
1,400 meters for our metric friends. Okay. Which is me.
Our descents here, you might get a little bit of descending, but you're climbing your whole way down.
Yeah. And you're also at elevation as well. That's the other thing. Like when I came to visit you, you remember I got out of the top and I was like, hold on. I've just accelerated up from sea level. Now I've basically just carried on going all the way to the top. And I was like, oh man. So it's even harder. That's pretty nuts. But hey, did you have flats on, or did you secretly clip in?
I had my flats on. I had my flats on.
And how'd you place overall?
So there was 144 racers in my class. I finished 140th. But
what?
Dang,
I guess after all those nightmares, that's pretty.
What happened to the other 4 guys? That's what I want to know.
Well, so one of them had a mechanical with me, and he pulled up. He was trying to fix his bike, didn't really know what he was doing, so I helped him out.
I thought it sounded like it just in solidarity. He saw you have a puncture, and then he's like, stab. Oh yeah, I know, right? As well. No. I'm with you.
So I mean, it was definitely a hard day, and on the very last aid station before it was pretty much all downhill, if you can call it downhill from there. I had the bourbon, I had the pickle juice, and then one of my friends out here, his name is Danimal. You might see him. Actually, Nate Hills' last video had Danimal in the video with the adaptive trike.
Oh, cool. That guy. Yep.
Yeah.
He beat you in the cross-country race?
He wasn't riding the cross-country race, but he was at that aid station. Everyone had gone by. And he's a huge inspiration to all of us out here. He pulled up and he was like, "Hey, Shane, what's going on?" And he talked to me for a little bit and gave me a little bit of extra inspiration. And, it really puts into perspective, if he can get through all of his struggles, he doesn't really consider them struggles. I can finish this stupid race, even if I'm cramping, if I need to throw in a tube. It's just like, if he can do his thing, I can do this thing. It got me through.
And then you immediately started thinking, what sort of kind of string ensemble, inspirational music can I put
totally
into this?
Yeah.
I gotta say, I do that all the time. When I climbed the Slick Rock climb, I was like, what kind of piece of music am I going to have over the bit where I just do it? And I was thinking the whole way on the rest of the ride,
Yeah. Which I think is a great topic to bring up because I was thinking, at opening day, not to tie back to it, but I think it connects, right, is 4 hours in when I'm freezing cold because my mudguard breaks during my crash and I have to go buy a new one because it's so muddy. My goggles are getting fogged. I think to myself, my morale is so low. I've traveled. I'm only here for a day. This day stinks and it's not gone the way I wanted it to. It's so hard to turn that around. So Shane, I'm sure you felt that multiple times And like, so having somebody like that come in, Danimal, to like give you an encouragement, it means the world. Like,
I was ready to drop out.
Yeah. At the end of the day, at least you're riding your bike. Like I had one of those same moments. So actually on Sunday, as I left the bike park, police pulled out right behind me as I was leaving, and the lights go on, and I'm like, what have I done? And he comes up, walks straight up to me and goes, your license is out of date. And I'm like, it's what? And then I look at it and I'm like, oh yeah, by a month.
Bollocks.
Exactly. I love it when Americans learn English phrases and then it's like, bollocks. That's what it's like. And then I went, crap. And then of course it was when I was trying to go again on Sunday, like I can't go and renew it because the office is shut. And then luckily someone came in, was actually coming back from Whistler and was able to pick me up and bring me in. But then I was like, oh, I've lost half a day of filming. Like I'm trying to do daily videos here. And then I do the first 2 runs. And, I said on the first day with all the rain and the sand, I was like, my brakes have suddenly stopped. Yeah, well, they carried on to not work. But luckily SRAM were there. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll go and get them bled. And then I was waiting around for ages. And I was like, oh, my God, like, am I going to get a video? Like, this is ridiculous.
Another reason why you should never use SRAM brakes. Keep going, Paul.
Oh, yeah, but SRAM were there to fix them when they went wrong.
So, because they knew they would have to be there to fix everyone's brakes. Keep going.
Look, God, well, that's for another podcast. But anyway, so, and then I go out and do 1 lap of A-Line after this break. And then my ribs just suddenly stop working. And I'm like, I go up again and I do like the first half of Angry Pirate. And I pull over, it's like, no, I can't ride. And I like literally sat on the ground, like winded. And then I go, and then I have to go get home, and then like all these calamities. And it's like, at the end of the day, life could be so much worse.
Oh yeah.
Like really, like it's quite pathetic to be like, if this is your bad day, then come on, like life's got to be pretty good.
Oh yeah. Yep. You could be running SRAM guide brakes and not code brakes.
Oh yeah, for sure. Who would have that?
That's adding pain on misery. That's a terrible idea.
Well, the Joey podcast brought to you by Shimano. Just kidding. You can bleep that out.
Anyway. Well, hopefully they'll sponsor it. Then I'll get rid of all my SRAM brakes that I have on every single bike, and I'll be like ready to sell out everyone.
Well, then you would actually be able to stop, and maybe that would allow you to go faster and have confidence. Just saying. Okay. How many times do you guys ride a week? Like I obviously pretty much live the dream and have no commitments largely. So I'm probably if I ride 5 times a week, I'm like, that's a low amount of times that I'll ride. That's a low amount?
Whoa.
Yeah. I could easily ride 7. I could probably go out more than once a day. Like that's what my schedule's like at the minute.
Wow.
I would say, but honestly, like 4 or 5 times a week at the moment. That's what I'm doing. That's why I'm in like being injured. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like I haven't ridden for 3 days. Like I can't take it.
So before me and Shane answer, Paul, do you feel like you ride enough or too much? Or do you feel like everybody should ride that much? Like, how do you feel about 5 times a week?
Oh yeah. Like that's a lot. That is obviously a lot. Like if you like, let's talk, what about another sport? Like, let's say, I don't know, what's another sport? I don't actually know.
I like to compare sometimes to like 4-wheeling or motocrossing.
Oh, sure.
Because people say all the time, oh, you spent, $4,000 on your bike or whatever. And it's like, well, I ride my bike Paul, I ride my bike 5 times a week. Like, how often do you ride your 4-wheeler?
Yeah.
Well, I take it out once a week during the summer.
I'm also training for the BC bike race, which is 7 days of that massive race that you did on Sunday, Shane, in a row. So I'm like, oh, I've got to get in shape for that. But I'd say like if you're riding like twice a week, I think is pretty low. I'd say like I would honestly say like what should be like the recommended number of times to ride. It's got to be 3, hasn't it? Like, well,
Shane, 3... how many times a week do you ride?
3 probably sounds on the low end of my average. I travel for work, so I could be anywhere in the state of Colorado at any time. And a lot of times I'll just bring my bike. And if I have an hour during lunch, I'll go do an hour ride. Or if I finish up an hour early, I'll go do a ride. So I'm maybe 4 or 5 times a week, with my Saturdays and Sundays being a good 3 or 4 hour ride.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wait, how did you do that? Wait, I thought the whole point of having children and being a dad and a family, like you couldn't do that. So
It's because I'm traveling. I don't like clock out and go home. You know, I might be in Paonia at 4 p.m. and I don't need to leave until 5 p.m. You know.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, don't tell my wife that.
Be
like, oh, work was so long today. Oh,
wait. Do you want to record like a separate version of that sentence, and then I might re-edit it. And
why do you have helmet hair, honey? Oh, yeah. So I only get to ride like twice a week, you guys.
Oh, that's
Saturdays and Sundays.
That's really tough, Shane.
Why are you so sweaty when you come home from work? Oh, my boss intimidates the heck out of me. Just sweat profusely.
My girlfriend. I was spending time with my girlfriend.
Yeah, that's it. Shane comes home and is like, well, I'm having an affair, okay? Like, get off my back. It's really stressful. You don't understand. I've got to like not tell you and keep her happy. Like, oh.
Well, Shane, let me ask you this other question. How far are your local trails from your home?
Oh, dude, like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and see, that's me as well. And I think that's a unique thing that a lot of people don't have. Because for me, I ride on average 3 days a week. If it's super nice weather, I'll try to pop out more often. You know, having a 2-year-old, there's always nap time from 1 to 3 on the weekends. That's my ride time. So if you ever want to find me in Bellingham, 1 to 3 o'clock, I'll be.
I was about to say, Josh, if you stopped having this nap time, then you'd probably be able to go out and do lots more riding. But
I gotta stay awake somehow this late at night. But yeah, so for me, it's 3 days a week. And I feel like personally, if everyone rode 3 days a week, like I feel like that is like the base. Like I feel like that is a place where you're going to keep growing. You're going to feel like you're fit. And that's the other thing. I ride with a lot of different people in town, and a lot of people only ride once a week, and their fitness isn't there. And they feel like they're holding me back, or they feel like they're not having as good of a time. And that's where I feel like if you can get out 3 days a week, like if you can make that work early in the morning or late at night when it's sunny, like it is right now this time of year, like that's going to make you feel like better as a rider. Your fitness is going to be up and your skills are going to get up too.
Oh yeah.
Well, like you said, our situation is a bit different. Like our trails are so close. Sometimes I might only go for a half an hour or an hour. Yeah. So I'm not getting like a huge ride in.
But it's something.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's just I think that comes down to kind of the motivation to go and do it then. Yeah. Like when I was living in London, in England, not the Canadian London, like I would have to drive like an hour and a half to get to the trailhead. But I did it. I rode twice a week then. But then I was also commuting by road bike. So I was probably doing that 3 or 4 times a week.
You rode twice a week with an hour and a half commute?
No, that's to get to the trails. So, now I should also listen. I also lived an hour and a half away from work. So
via bike?
Via anything. It was London, so no one drove.
Oh, okay.
It's like it was either public transport or that. So like, let's listen to this. If you're thinking I left at work at 5 o'clock, and then if I was lucky, I got back at 6:30. If I was going to go mountain biking, like there's no way I could have gone mountain biking.
Yeah. See, and I would say like there's a lot of people in that situation in metropolitan areas. Like when I used to live in Seattle, like a good ride was at least a half hour, an hour away. Like to get out 1 day a week or 2, like that's impressive to me for people who have that much of a commute to ride.
Yeah. I also didn't have any other life apart from going mountain biking in the weekend.
Yeah, it's like today for you, Paul. You still don't have a life, but anyway.
It's true.
Do a lot of like HOA terrorizing.
What?
Paul doesn't know what HOA is because that's a very American term, Shane.
I mean, just riding around your neighborhood, jumping off of people's like drops and jumping over their flower bushes and.
No, it's London because I was always inherently afraid that I was going to get mugged at any moment. Do you know what funny? I've even a couple of times where I used to live, like there was like a fight happening on the street. It's a boring story to regale during a mountain bike podcast, but like there was like there was like BMX tracks and stuff, but not like mountain biking. In fact, one thing I miss about living there was the BMX tracks because from London 2012 and BMX, that was the first time. No, not the first time. Anyway, BMX racing, like from the Olympic legacy, so many world-class mountain bike trails, world-class BMX tracks were suddenly built up in London. and it was amazing. And like, it actually baffles me that there's no more of that like around here. Like the BMX tracks over in North America, or at least around here, kind of suck. But that's also balanced by having the best trails in the world.
Yeah, and that's true. Is like I could be wrong in this, but I feel like BMX trails are more popular where there isn't natural trails, and therefore you have to kind of create your own fun. But yeah, anyway, like I would say like if you live near trails, 3 times a week is pretty awesome. Like I feel like that's pretty good. If you don't live near trails, like I might argue 1 day a week is impressive. To drive an hour and a half to ride for a while, like I think about Paul, that would be like me coming to Squamish. Like that's like an hour and a half away. Like that's commitment to ride that day.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. And like really, that's like if people want to ride more, and if they whinge about fitness and stuff, it's like there's only one answer. It's not like you can't go out and take a magic pill. It's like go out and do more riding. Yeah. Like that's what I did. And it's like, okay, like if I suck, it's like because I'm not doing enough riding. Like that's the answer to everything pretty much.
It's like you need to ride your bike every day. I should make that a mantra of like a YouTube channel.
That is terrible.
That's tough though. Like say you're a 16-year-old kid and you're an hour and a half away from trails, like that comes back to riding in your neighborhood, you know.
Yeah, but like
probably better off with a BMX.
Well, when I was younger, like we had BMXs and we would just ride. Like you couldn't, it's like, oh, how are we going to get to this jump that we've heard someone mutter about? Oh, we got to ride there. And you stand up the whole way. And I was in Portugal in this place called Loser, and I was
a place called Loser.
Lousa. I'm sure it's probably like Pico de Gallo. Like I'm sure there's a better way of pronouncing it, but I don't know.
Paul saying Pico de Gallo as Pico de Gallo is the most. People still comment in my videos, Paul, Pico de Gallo, laughing. Sorry, Paul, keep going.
You know, that'll be the standing Joey.
Oh, that was definitely a Joey move. But
from now on, when we explain Joey's, just say Paul saying Pico de Gallo. Anyway, keep going.
So, yeah, you did so many other things that were way funnier, and somehow that joke was the funniest one out of all of them, which still
were they funnier, Paul? Were they?
Well, I have them all saved on my phone, so I'm going to go back through and double check, but I'm pretty confident. Anyway, so, and Paul Aston, who was one of the Pink Bike tech editors, he was like, do you remember when you were younger and you just rode your BMX everywhere? Like, you would just stand up, wouldn't you? Like, that must be why I was so fit when I was younger. So what we decided to do was try and ride up this mountain in the hardest gear, like one of the hardest gears possible on the bike, and stood up the entire way. And actually, it wasn't that bad. When you get into it, like, it wasn't that, because it was a road. Let's just get like a brand new pavement road, tarmac road. But like about 3/4 of the way up, I was like, whoa, I'm actually pretty woozy here. And we were lost. And by the time we got to the top of the mountain, I couldn't even see straight because I didn't have enough water and I didn't have any food. We'd gone out with like 3 dates on our thing. But yeah.
And what year was this, Paul? Was this 2014?
This was actually, yeah.
Because even 2014, Paul had excuses. I'm just saying.
No, but 2014 Paul had left Whistler, and that was technically the end of 2014 Paul. When he'd left Whistler and gone to trails that were actually quite hard to ride, it was like, oh, reality check, slapped in the face. That's
whatever we can do to keep 2014 Paul dead. Let's just keep that going. I like 2019 Paul way better. Now that was a diss. That was a diss saying never talk about 2014 Paul again.
He's going to come up every single episode.
Oh gosh.
So, how do you wrap up a podcast? Because we're probably going to call this an end. We've talked about enough.
We'd like to thank our sponsors.
But we don't have any.
No, it's perfect time to beg for them.
Yeah.
So if you guys know anybody who would like to sponsor us, please make sure you pass them along. And I don't know, how else would we end this? Go ride your bike every day? No.
Crap.
Joey's. What would a Joey say at the end of a podcast?
He wouldn't say anything.
Hold my beer.
or she. Yeah. Anyway, we hope you listen to this. and we'll come up with a better sign off next week. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.